Welcome to Wondercon Day 2 with Out of the Dungeon. Right now with Tony Rodriguez, illustrator, comic artist. Now, Tony, how long have you been involved with the industry?
I've been drawing comics since, since 2000 professionally, so it's been a while now. 2003?
Yeah, 2013,
yeah.
17 years.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But I mean, before that, I was just always into comic books, and it's just that was the first time something actually came out that I had my name on it. So
How'd that feel? I mean, it's got to be something.
That was weird. It was nice to actually kind of do it, but before that, I had like a whole career of like doing other things. I used to refuel aircraft. I used to do customer service. I answered a phone. So I did everything. And then when I ran out of all my options, I started doing this. So
Awesome. So now the question I want to give is, there's a lot of people who are trying to get into this, who are interested in this. What's some advice you could give them?
I guess is just do it. Some people say they want to do it, but then they don't focus any of their time on it. It's like if you want to be in better shape, you have to put some time in the gym, or you have to do certain things to avoid doing things that are going to be detrimental to what you want. And so just do it. Just find the time. And time's hard because people have to work an 8-hour shift, and they got to make money, got to pay the rent. And but yeah, every so often there'll be someone who'll come up to me and they'll have loads of talent, capable of doing it, and then they'll show me a portfolio that they showed me the year before, and like nothing's new in it, and I just keep looking at it going, wow, this kid should be working, but he doesn't put any effort into actually doing any new work to get somebody like excited and go, well, I got to get him something to do. So yeah, time, because.
And just keep improving and keep changing. And
always do whatever. I've always, my whole thing is I had another comic book artist like teach me, and his thing was be versatile. Don't just do one thing. Don't just find one thing you do and do that. He originally started the art class, and he pulled out his business card and he handed it to all of us. And he said, well, what do you see? And we were all kind of looking at the card. It was a very simple card. It had his name on it, and then underneath it said commercial artist. At that point, I didn't know what a commercial artist was. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like probably 18. And he basically explained to us, is like, well, if somebody needs to hire someone to do storyboards, that's what I do. Somebody wants toy design, that's what I do. If it's comic books I do everything. But the man could do everything. He could paint, in addition to draw like a really cool like Snoopy cartoon. The man knew everything. And so I do all this stuff, but like one of the things I do in addition to my comic books is I also work on the Simpsons comic books. So I've been doing that for like the last 7 or 8 years. So it's like you go ahead and you look at the regular comic book stuff that I do, and the people in that world are all familiar with that work. And then I'll come to a show like this and they'll go, oh my God, where you been? I haven't seen you in years. What are you doing? And I go, I've been working on The Simpsons this whole time. And they go, I don't read The Simpsons. But there's another group of people who read The Simpsons and are into cartoons and all that. And they're all familiar with this stuff. And when they see this stuff, they go, what's this? So I did that too. And they're like, no, I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense.
It's funny, the genre difference just in comic books,
Yeah, but like I said, it's like that was my thing. He said, do everything, be versatile. And that's what I do. It's like, we do storyboards for production. I did some TV work for Dexter, the TV show. One of my friends who actually still works on the show is one of the prop masters and makes the knives for Dexter. And every so often he'll hit me up and he'll go, look, I need new designs for the knives. And I'll work one out, and, anything, whatever it is, it's like I just do it.
That's awesome. And you love what you do. That's the important thing.
And I've always loved it. I always enjoyed doing it. The funny thing is, like, people go to work every day and they hate what they do. I get to go to work and, I roll out of bed, I get cleaned up, I go to the studio, and, yeah, there's sometimes I get upset or I'm miserable and I'm like, oh, things aren't working out. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm drawing comic books. It's like, how hard is my job? There are people out there that have to dig holes and, work on roofs in the middle of summer or crawl through sewer pipes. Oh, man, I got it made. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tony. Nice to meet you as well. Residual Hunt is revived out of the dungeon. Residual Hunt is revived out of the dungeon. Today's comic book day, obviously. So we're going to be talking to a lot of comic book artists right now. Tom Hodges. Now, Tom, you are primarily Star Wars kind of art, right?
Yes, I am.
So now,
I was.
You what?
I
You
was.
were.
We can say was.
Was?
I was.
I was.
Anyway. Was.
So now, what got you into comic books?
Honestly, when I was a kid, my dad used to bring home comics all the time. And I'm talking about even before Star Wars came out, my dad would bring home Spider-Man and Batman for me. And I used to, that's why to this day I'm a huge Batman and Spider-Man fan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I saw Star Wars and then they started adapting the comic, the old Marvel comic, that I really actually started collecting. I would go out and buy Star Wars every week. I still have all those old Marvel Star Wars comics.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I have the 35-cent cover.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've got the entire Gru collection.
Oh, really?
Everyone.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a huge Gru fan.
Gru's awesome.
Gru
is awesome.
So now, what are you doing now? What are you working on
Okay,
now?
right now, I am basically working on my own stuff, kind of in the background, my comic Midnight.
Okay.
Which I can flash to an image here.
We'll flash an image.
Put it on there. That's Midnight. Basically, it doesn't seem like DC wants to let me draw Batman, so I'm going to make my own.
Good for you.
Yeah. But I've actually had Midnight for about 12 years now, the character itself, and I created him because I love Batman and Spider-Man so much. It's kind of a combination of both characters. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he's also not, the super awesome detective that Batman is. He's part of he's part of a team with his wife, but his wife is in a delicate situation right now.
Uh-huh.
And the first series came out in 2007. It was a 2-issue comic for Red 5 Comics. And this is going to be a 3-issue story, hopefully out sometime later this year. It'll be released digitally initially. And I'm also working on a graphic novel with 2 musicians, Dan and Leland, called Mind of Mirrors.
Okay.
That's going to be a Kickstarter campaign that starts in about a week or so.
Awesome.
It's a graphic novel that is attached to a concept album that they've already recorded. It's already done. And I am going to, provided that the Kickstarter is funded, I will be providing the artwork, and we're going to get it out there. It's going to be a combo pack type of thing.
That's incredible. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So now, with the way technology's going...
We probably should mention this.
Rush 20... What is this?
This is the re-release of Rush's landmark album, 2112. Time out. It gets better. Which they brought me on to do a 40-page graphic novel.
Oh!
So let me take off this back cover. It flips, then you flip it, and you got a 40-page graphic novel to go with the album.
Oh.
The entire album is represented in a 40, and all the lyrics and all the dialogue and the blurbs and everything are all from the lyrics of the album.
I have a geek heart on right now.
Yeah. Please back up a little bit.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry. Not at all.
I probably should mention that. So
now, with the way technology's going, the way everything's going, are you finding a lot more young artists that are just hitting the internet and going
that was
way?
how I got discovered by Lucasfilm, was the internet. Lucasfilm, Comic-Con about 11 years ago. 10 years ago at this point, Comic-Con, my first time in a booth. I was just doing white sketches on white copy paper with a pencil and just doing $10 sketches for people. And I wound up, making friends with Bonnie Burton at Lucasfilm.
Okay.
And when we would go over there and joke around, and me and my wife and her we'd all just hang out and things like that. And then at the end of the show, I took over a stack of drawings to give to her, and she could we'll give some to people you work with. But she had already left, so I handed them to somebody. I said, would you give these to Bonnie? And you guys take some too. And he's like, you're Tom Hodges? I go, yeah. He's like, I've been looking for you.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, and my initial reaction was, "Are you going to sue me?" Because I had at this point a ton of fan art online, and he's like, "No, we want to work with you on a web strip that's going to work into the initial micro series of the Clone Wars. Remember the Tartakovsky one." Yeah. And episode 3. So I mean, that's how that began, and that was 10 years ago at this point.
So now, how do you feel about how Disney? Do you think they're going to do a good job?
I can't wait.
Really?
And I'm going to tell you why. Whenever I see, number one, the whole Clone Wars thing, Clone Wars ending.
I loved it.
The show was fantastic. Dave Filoni, he's a fan. He gets what fans want. He gets what we want.
Yeah.
You know, he understands Star Wars. And Lucas promised 100 episodes. We got 100 episodes. And everyone's already, Disney's ruining Star Wars already by canceling the Clone Wars. Disney didn't cancel the Clone Wars. Star Wars is moving in a different direction. They're getting back to the movies, and we're getting new movies, and we're getting J.J. Abrams, who's going to do a great job. Yeah. We get a story that Lucas put together with the writers of Toy Story 3, and I mean, Little Miss. I mean, the guy who's writing Star Wars has cred. He's got an Oscar, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
You know, and Lawrence Kasdan's back on to work with them. Guy wrote Empire. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too.
I'm excited about the new Star Wars. I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I don't think people should be so up in arms about it. Like, so many people stress out about it. There's no point. I understand people's dislike of the prequels. Me personally, I like the prequels. But people who dislike the prequels are automatically ready to destroy what's coming because of what they didn't like before.
Yeah, as long as Jar Jar's nowhere near us, we'll be okay.
I think post Episode 3, Jar Jar redeemed himself somehow, and I think, and personally, if I was able to put like a one-shot comic together, I would do a Jar Jar comic.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think Jar Jar hid Jedi in the underwater city.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah.
That is because so many people hate Jar Jar. So many people had to
I don't know if I hate him as much as he just seemed to be way too much of a comic relief. I think that's what frustrated me.
Well, you see, but you got to remember, okay? Got to keep this in mind. And this is one of those arguments that people don't think about. Number one, C-3PO and R2-D2 were the comic relief that everyone hated. Everyone hated C-3PO in the first movie back in the day. Now he's beloved.
Yeah.
Darth Vader had maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes total of screen time in the original Star Wars movie, and that's pushing it. Darth Maul also had that little bit of screen time.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So my problem, the only problem I do have with the prequels is Darth Maul should have lasted throughout all 3 films.
That's a good point.
He was a great character. He was. I mean, had he survived all 3 films, I think it would. Or had he come back as the Grievous character, which was one of the initial concepts.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad they brought him back into Clone Wars. But had they done that, I think it would have added to it. Because the Dooku character, I felt, was kind of pushing it. I think they could have worked the Dooku character differently. But I still love him. I mean, even the way it went, I still enjoyed it. It's still Star Wars. It sets up everything that we already had. We got to see the Clone Wars. And I just feel like people who complain about it really should settle down.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Sorry. Man, you think I remember my own name. What is up with me? Thanks so much, Tom. It was a pleasure talking to you.
No problem, man.
And that's Residual Hauntings Out of the Dungeon.
Cool.
All right, so we're continuing with the comic book interviews. Today we are going to be talking with Dan Parsons. Now, hi, Dan. How are you? Okay. So are you having fun right now?
Yes, I'm having lots of fun.
So now, is this your first WonderCon?
No, I've been at WonderCon for probably 10 years now, maybe more. Yeah.
So have you liked it here in Anaheim, or do you like it up north a little bit more?
Well, I like it here a lot. It's a lot easier to get to, a lot easier to move around, and San Francisco is just a pain in the ass to drive in. So, I guess I prefer it here.
Yeah. So now, mostly Star Wars stuff. What are some of the other things that people might know you for?
Well, I've worked on a lot of different things, like particularly I did some independent stuff like Harpy, Savage Planet. I did a number of trading card jobs, everything from Witchblade to Indiana Jones and, just numerous. Lord of the Rings. I did the King Kong book. But in the last 5-10 years, it's been mostly Star Wars stuff.
So now, for those that are just trying to get into the illustration or want to take that next step and become more professional, any advice you could give them?
Well, I mean, I can only give advice based on what's happened with me, and I can say that the best thing to do is get your portfolio together or a book, and then show it around. The only way that I've ever really gotten work is basically at big conventions like this one. I brought my portfolio. Actually, San Diego Comic-Con is where I've gotten all my work. So I would recommend that people, if they want to break into comics, is get their best work together, put it in a portfolio, and show it to people. As a matter of fact, the last assignment that I'd gotten was for the Game of Thrones TV show, and that was at San Diego also. Because I happened to be there, doing my thing, and they came by and asked me if I wanted to try out for it, and I did. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really enjoy your work. It's good talking to you. And that's Residual Hauntings Revived Out of the Dungeon. All right, so continuing with the comic book theme, today we've got Steve Gordon with us. Now, you've got a pretty good name in the comic book industry.
Well, actually not so much in the comic book industry, in animation. I'm mostly in animation.
So now how long have you been involved with this?
In animation, I've been in about 35 years.
Wow, 35 years.
Started with Ralph Bakshi on Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh. I'm in love now. So now tell me, how do you feel that things have changed throughout the years?
Well, in animation, they've obviously changed, but it pertains to comics too. Computers have made a huge impact on how we work and stuff. Obviously, in animation, most of the animation you see these days are now CG or whatnot, but in comics, I think it also impacts a lot of the production pipeline and stuff too, as far as color and even how people put together their artwork.
Now, with young artists, people that are interested in the illustration and things like that, any kind of tip or advice you could give them?
Well, network. Use Facebook, Twitter, join whatever groups you can, come to things like this, and just network as much as you can. I think that's the best way to do it. Get out there and print your stuff, because it's so easy to do these days, and start handing it out and trying to get noticed.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Steve. I really appreciate it. Residual Hauntings Revived Out of the Dungeon. All right, so I will be completely honest. I am not the biggest fan on names of artists, but I do love art. And Riley, my camera guy, is the big fan on artists. And he's like, oh, you got to talk to Allie. You got to talk to Allie. Okay, so now tell me a little bit about yourself. Allie, tell me a little bit about yourself and some of the work that you've done.
Well, mainly lately I've been working as a cover artist for Dynamite, doing covers for Vampirella, Deja Thoris, and the new Miss Fury Masks series that they have coming out. I also do a lot of covers for Xenoscope. In the past, I've worked on Supergirl, Batgirl, Teen Titans. I worked on Deadpool last year. I've also done my creator-owned books, Ninja Boy and Skyrunner, and I am currently working on my new book, Maiden Age, which I am doing on my own.
So now, how has that turned out? How do you feel about working on your own? Has it been a big change?
No, it's great. It's nice not having any of those filters or like the rules being laid on me or any of that stuff. But we are actually working with a bigger publisher, so we did actually get picked up. I was doing it on my own, but now it's kind of like,
It was liked, and they said, ooh, we want this.
We haven't formally announced it yet, but yeah, they saw some of the images and the story concept, and they were like, we want to do this, and threw a bunch of money at me, so I was like, all right, let's do it.
I have to say, I love your stuff. It's very clean work. It's awesome. I mean, I love the almost anime but not anime kind of look to it.
Yeah, I feel like I try and play a nice balance. I kind of try and play in the middle of the spectrum between real and too cartoony. So, it's a lot of influences, not only from anime, but also from American animation, Disney animation, stuff like that as well.
So now where can people find your comic?
Usually every week I have a cover out somewhere, whether it's for Dynamite Comics or Xenoscope or Boom or some other company. So look at the comic shops. Usually it's the nude versions.
Yeah, it's going to be probably hard to find in Salt Lake, but who knows? Now, you're the one that you're working on yourself. Is there a way we can get a hold of that?
Later this year.
Later this year.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to be debuting like a preview at Comic-Con in San Diego this year. But then the first issue will be out later this year, early next year. So we want to have the whole series pretty much done on our part before we start putting it out, just so we don't miss a beat and scheduling doesn't get messed up.
Yeah, because comic books, I mean, usually have to print about 6 or 7 before they actually start publishing, don't they?
Well, sometimes. Some people have the bad habit of doing 1 or 2 and putting it out, and then you get a book a year, a book every other year. But our goal is to have it at least 4 or 5 in the can before we start putting the first one out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Residual Hauntings revived Out of the Dungeon.